Dilip, good morning, good afternoon rather. Thanks so much for joining in. See, I've lost my sense of time as well with the fall today. Dilip, how are you approaching, what are you telling your top clients to do right now? I mean, why is this sharp fall? Now we are sub, for the second time in a day, we are sub the low levels of the surgical strike day as well. What are you telling your top clients to do? Could this be the start of something more deep? Or is this a one-day flash in a pan led by the bank nifty because of trading reasons?
Well, Neeraj, I think we are in sync with how the markets all over are really behaving at the moment. So I think there is some amount of panic which is there at the moment. And I think what we are just trying to understand is that there are quite a few events and they are all over at the moment. You know, all kind of news is flowing at the moment. So they will settle down possibly. But, you know, as you have seen that the dollar is strengthening, then you also have the fact that we are running into an American presidential elections. Though the initial things suggest that maybe, Clinton may still win. That is what they say. But nothing has been ruled out at the moment. So I think my own sense is that, and that's what we have been trying to tell now, that one should wait and watch for a while, because prices without fail, Indian stock prices and the index levels are ahead of the value, the prices are ahead of the fundamentals at the moment, without any doubt. So the fundamentals have to catch up at the moment. So that being the scenario and taking the circumstances which we are in at the moment, I think for next 1 month or so, at least one should try to wait and watch. One need not be in a hurry, because we have seen a good rise in the index, we have seen a good rise in the stocks, and there is no need to really hurry to buy. And if possible, you are say a short to medium term player, even if you want to get out somewhere, I think it would still make sense, is what my broader guess would be. And a wait and watch policy at this stage would be much more beneficial rather than trying to make any commitment immediately.
Fair call. Dilip, a large portion of the fall today is attributed to banks. Now, you know, what's happening here is the market worried about how the quarter will turn up for a bunch of these. Will the NPA stress continue? Because, I mean, IndusInd Bank commentary as well as delivery was fairly good. Slippage is actually reduced for that one. But that could be those 1 or 2 or 3 private banks. Are you concerned about banks particularly right now?
Neeraj, you know, this quarter we will see a good amount of treasury profits coming into play with a lot of the banks which are really facing the NPA problems. So in that sense, they will get a lot of elbow room either to further provide or to increase the coverage ratio. So in that sense, I don't think that one is really very worried about the fact that there would be some very nasty surprises. I think we are all factoring in that some amount of slippages will take place, as what everybody has been talking about. So I think there is nothing to be so unduly worried about on the banking front. I think credit growth remains pretty weak at the moment, the way the things are. So I think the core parameters will still continue to disappoint, whether it is NII or NIMs, or maybe some amount of credit cost also will be there. So taking all these factors into account, I would still say that banks are still relatively better placed, and I don't think there's a big fear overhang on the banks at the moment.
Okay, let's take a break.
Yeah.
Dilip, you want to add more perspective on why an INFI is holding out before earnings while a TCS is not?
Well, I think Infosys, the bad numbers or the downward guidance was something which was very much talked about, and probably a lot of it has been reflected in the prices. Possibly, I think with expectations being so low, I think this quarter, as it is, as everybody knows, is going to be the best quarter. Maybe even if they just meet their normal things, will still be a good boost for the stock at the moment. And I think that itself will act as a good support for Infosys going forward. Unless and until they come and they tell us tomorrow that the guidance is going to be pretty bad, which I have my own doubt, this is not how Infosys really works or functions. So my own take is that possibly it will take support around these levels and then look for further guidance from here on tomorrow. As far as TCS is concerned, I think the numbers are going to be pretty muted, and I think even the guidance is not expected to be all that very inspiring as far as TCS is concerned. I think that is the basic difference that is developing between TCS and Infosys just ahead of the results.
Right.
Understand we'll have to let Dilip go in a couple of minutes. So before we do that, Dilip, so let's assume that the fall is now actually getting worse. We're now officially trading at the lowest point of the day. Let's assume that this fall is deeper than where we are right now due to whatever reasons. Tanveer is going to speak in a bit about all the global headwinds that we face as well. But let's assume we go down further. What do investors do? Because I think a lot of people would be wary because of what's happened suddenly in the last 5 or 6 trading hours.
As what I said, that investors should wait for a while. I mean, there's no reason if you're a long-term investor, which is where I would like to give an advice. Short-term is a different ballgame altogether. But I think in the long run, there is no reason to really unwind the long-term purchases that you have made. Certainly, but one should not make any fresh commitments. Let's bide the time. I think even if there is a time-wise correction, even then it would be okay. Price-wise correction would be a wonderful opportunity for any long-term investor to get in at the moment. So I think we should still wait for another 1 month. I would still see very safely post US presidential elections. And that is the time when we can really take some broader call. And in the meanwhile and in the intervening period, hopefully some of the global tensions also will get a lot of clarity for everyone. And I think some of the other things which are also very hazy at the moment will see some direction a little more clearly. So as what I said, the watchword would be wait on the sidelines and don't be in a hurry to invest.
Okay. Wise words. Thanks very much, Dilip, for joining us and giving us your perspective on the markets. Always appreciate your views.